Hey everyone, I wanted to send a shout out to the young people that we had here from Henderson, Minnesota today. I had some great kids. I shouldn't say kids because I'm that much older, but some great students here. And what we did is we did the casual wrap bracelet. And what they learned and what I'm going to take you through is how to start it and how to finish it. I'm not going to sit and make you watch this. There's a certain stitching pattern we use to add the beads to the leather. So let's just start. Everybody had an 8-inch strand of beads that they did. I measured out 2 meters of leather, so there's quite a bit of leather they get with this kit. But for today's sake, I just took, I measured it 28 inches. I'm just going to, in the end, make one single wrap. Now, you can make a single wrap with just the one size 6 millimeter round beads, and this one I happen to have is carnelian, but I had students that chose both 11/0s and 8/0 beads, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to show different ways how this works and why, how it will look. So I chose this leather, I chose the button. First thing you do is just get your leather in half. Okay, take your button side up, and each strand goes through a hole in the button, and this is 1 millimeter leather. Okay, so you can see I've got that together like that, and I'm going to pull it so we have the button at the end, and it's equal. I have equal ends. Okay, so we want each side the same. Now we do what we call a traditional overhand knot. So I take both ends of my hand, I'm on top of that, and I tuck in both ends into the loop. Pull it. I do make this close to the button, and then we're going to slide that. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, but we want that to connect to the button. Now, here's where everybody starting this is the hardest thing. So I'm going to grab some thread here, and we've already determined what is a half a wingspan, which is from your chin to the end of your finger, or a full wingspan. Now I had everyone just do a half one, because when you are working with a bunch of thread, it's easy to get it all tangled up. Now, I took a flat nose chain nose plier, just pinched the end of this, and I'm going to grab my needle wherever I put it. Now it's right here. And I put the needle through the thread. Let's get it up here so you can see it. I just pinch it, and then I stick it, hopefully, through the eye of the needle. Now, the reason we pinch it is we want it flat, because the eye of a beading needle is very elongated and narrow. So sometimes it's hard to get a round thread through. Now, what I had the students do is literally, you decide which way you like to bead from. Most of the group beaded from the right side, so that's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to take this right arm. I'm going to, when I have it up, I've got 2 arms of leather coming down, and I'm literally just going to tie 3 knots onto one of the leather sides. And I'm not going to have a long tail. I'm just going to have maybe 2 inches. But I'm going to tie this, and I'm going to use 3 knots. 2, 3. I'm going to use a burner on this, but right now I'm going to keep this tail right here. So we are going to start by adding the seed beads. Now I'm going to start by adding, okay, let's cut this. Hey, I just had somebody walk in. I'm going to show you what we're doing here. We put the we put this bead right here, and then we have to figure out how many beads we want. So here, oops, I'm off camera here. So here is, we can do 2 or 3 beads. I'm going to do 2, but I'm also going to show you what 2/8 will do. So it just gets it a little wider. So we're going to do both. And it doesn't matter really, it's just about to fill in behind the bead. Now I'm going to take a break. I had a customer come in, so I'm going to stop this video. We'll merge it together in a minute. Well, we were talking about, I had a customer that came in, so I had to kind of stop. So I'm going to show you. Here I've got we left it tied off. I'm going to start with the 11s, and I'm going to do 2 beads. So it looks a little narrower. Actually, I could do 3. Should I do 3? On this bracelet, I did, of course these were 8s, I did 2 8s. So let me try it then. Let's see. So I'm going to go across, and what I tell the students is, I just want to, if the thread, oh, this looks like a mess, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to take the needle, I'm on top of the thread on one side, I'm holding this so the beads don't go anywhere. I have to tell you, you have to have the patience of Job, because this is hard to do to start. I'm going to scoot this down, so just be very patient with yourself. It is the hardest thing of the whole bracelet, and I think all of you who did this with me today knows that. So I'm going to scoot that knot down. Should have done that first, because I think I told everybody today, put your knot by the button. I guess I don't do what I say, do I? Okay, so I added the 3 beads. You can do 2, 3, whatever you want. These are size 11s, and I'm coming down, I'm underneath that thread here, or underneath the leather. So the point is to get the needle on the top part of the leather, go through the beads, and if you're on the top part of this side, you want to be underneath the leather on the other side. And let me get that tail out of there. Okay. So pull very slowly. Okay. So we basically have it kind of connected right now. So what I want to do is kind of get this straighter. I got that here. There we go. Kind of make a little triangle. So I want you to do it again. Do it twice. Get that out. So I'm coming across. I'm coming from underneath. So then my needle is on top of the leather, and I'm go through the beads, but I want my needle to exit underneath the leather. Whether you put the needle there or you can hold your beads and do it all at the same time, it doesn't matter. So I'm kind of pulling this tight. They are secure right now, and I'm going to come back. So if I start on my right side, this side, the side where the tail is, that's my thread. I'm always going to add beads when my thread is coming from this side. So let's get back. This is the second time, and I'm on top of my leather on this side, so my needle's going to be under the leather on that side. Okay, so we know that the needle and the thread are coming from underneath, and it's here. So we're now ready to add another set. So let's add 3 beads again. I'm going to keep them right there. I'm going through. I just caught the tool. Okay. But look, my leather, I didn't set my needle underneath. So I'm just going to casually put my needle underneath, so the thread is coming underneath, and we want to connect this. We want to loop around the leather. So then I'm going to bring my needle. I'm now on top of the leather. And remember, if I'm on top of the leather on this side, I want my needle to be underneath on the other side. Okay? That is your thread. It's kind of like a figure eight, I told the kids this morning. So we're doing a figure eight, and now we want to kind of get it straight. I can see that I'm a little tilted, so I'm just going to work with it now. And I'm ready to add my big bead. Now, why are we adding seed beads? Because if you want a double wrap or even a triple wrap, by adding these, you need to give yourself some spaces, because just adding the carnelian beads, the 6mm round bead, you'll only do one wrap. Okay, so now we're ready for the big bead. Since I almost tipped them all over, I've got the big bead in my hand. It's just like having the 3 little ones. Okay, the needle is on top on this side, but underneath this leather arm. So I'm going to pull this. I'm having a little problem managing my thread. I'm catching everything around. Okay, and thread is underneath, which is what we want, and we're going to put our needle on top, and I'm going to kind of slant this so that my needle is exiting the bead underneath the leather on the other side. Did it once, we're going to come back and do it again because it keeps the beads tighter together. Same thing. Nothing changes with where the needle is going. Okay, let's get that underneath there. There we go. I even caught my necklace. Okay. Now, my pattern is just 2 rows of a bead, then the big bead. Now I'm going to go 2 rows of the larger 8 bead. And I'm going to show you, we're only going to do 2. So whether you're doing 8s or 11s, you're doing it the same way. The thread is coming from the bottom. Your needle is going underneath. And we kind of scoot those beads over there, and you hold them. And you pull that through. Now you're going to go on top of the leather, go through the beads, and make your needle go underneath the leather on the other side. So if you're top here, you're underneath there. Okay, that was my second. Scoot it where it needs to be. Grab 2 more of your number 8s. Place them on top of the leather and underneath the leather, and come back. The figure 8 is top, bottom, top, bottom. All right, so now we're ready for the big bead. This is all you do, no matter what your bead is going. We're going through it twice. That's what I like to do, and that's what I taught this morning. And I'm coming back. I'm going over the leather, but my needle's exiting underneath the leather on the other side. Okay? So I'm going to just pretend like I've got this whole thing done. I'm going to tie off my sample, and I'm going to show you how do you end the end if this is all done. So I usually don't end with the big bead. I like to end how I started. So I am going to do 3 size 11s. I am going to do a couple rows of them, and then we're going to tie this off, and we'll be then I'll be able to show you how you can tie off your bracelet. Doesn't matter how long you take it, you wrap it around your wrist and you tie off to hold all the beads in place. I'm still doing my figure 8, back, forth, top of the leather, underneath the leather, top of the leather, and the thread. Sometimes you gotta just get the needle out. There you go. I went a little too tight there. And now I'm going to, because I'm exiting the top, I'm going to bring the needle underneath, because that's where it's got to be. Okay, let's do another row, and we're going to be just ready to show you how to do the knot off. All right. And back. Didn't mean to get off here. Okay. Sometimes what I did last time was I pulled it too tight too soon, and I couldn't get my needle underneath there. So I just manually moved my needle. Now I'm so loose I can't get my beads in there. Okay. Get that there, and I still have to move my needle underneath. There we go. All right. One more pass. Probably pulled it too tight again here. Let's get it. There we go. Underneath. So I'm over and under. So let's say we're all done. Okay, we've got to the end. What you do is just kind of scoot your needle under the thread. You've got a loop here. Let's get that out of there. We've got a loop. We're going to put our needle through the loop and pull. That's a half hitch. Now go through your beads. Okay. And let's just catch a thread over here. We just catch it. Just gonna catch it. There's a little loop. Put your needle up through there, and that's a half hitch. And you are now able to cut. I'm going to cut about a quarter, and then I'm going to thread burn. Now, you know, if you're out there and you don't have a thread burner, tie 3 knots. I did the half hitch. Go back then and tie your 3 knots, and then you can cut right next to the knot. All right. So once we did the knotting off, I've shown you how it looks with 8s. I've shown you how it looks with 11s. You can actually start a pattern like that if you like. But we're going to pretend like we've done a whole bracelet on this side. You've got your piece ending. You did your thread. We go around our finger on the overhead knot, and we scoot that up next to the beads. Just scoot it up. So if there's one length that has to be corrected here, right there. You don't want to go on top of the beads. You want to have it like a little triangle like is over there. So basically you're done. Everything's here. Now, how do you put your button hole or your button loop? Okay. So you take your button and you just want to kind of measure how much loop do I need. So you just kind of put your button between there. See that? And I pinch it. That gives me my length I need. Okay, so I've got my length. I'm going to pinch where that length was. I'm not going to move it. I'm just going to manipulate the rest of the leather in an overhand knot. I'm not letting go yet. I'm going to just kind of maneuver it with my fingers. See, I got a little loop there. Just kind of keep it. Okay, there you go. Now, you could decide like I did here. Okay, here's my little button here. I added some beads at the end. So you can decide if you want to have any fringe dangles or just cut like here. We can just cut that right off, and then you've got your little button loop right here. How far do you go? You can decide, you go around. If you want to go one wrap, you would go around. Okay, I'm going to try to get this so it stays. It's getting wonky on me. But I would not bead past. See where the button is? Okay, I'm trying to... Okay, you would stop beading right here. Right on top before the button, because your loop actually gives you some extra length. Okay? So, there you go on the wrap. I hope that helps, that you get to finish it up. Enjoyed the class today. Hope you come back and see me again, but that's how we do a basic wrap. Now, see this? Still there? If you don't have a thread burner, we've already done the 3 knots. You can re-strand this. So let's get my needle out again. You could also put a little dot of glue on there and cut it, or you can re-strand it with your needle. Okay. Do that. So I'm actually just putting a needle back on the tail. See if I've got enough thread. Alright, and then you can pass this. Looks like I might be... You can pass it through to the other side, because you've already got the needle, you already got your knot. To the other side. Let's try to get it there. It must be pretty tight. And what I was going to do is just get that thread through. I'm not sure if I'm going to lose it because the tail is so little. But if I get my thread through, and it's kind of tight, which is perfect. My needle's going right into the leather. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get this thread through. There. You just clip it. Okay. Because we're kind of pulling it through that way and it will stay. All right. Enough already, right? Thanks again. Bye-bye.